showtime. Let's see what the great Kakarot can do.
Hey, you want me? You got me.
Over 9.
Sorry.
Vegeta, what does the scouter say about his power level?
It's over 9,000!
What, 9,000? There's no way that can be right. Can it?
I think it's right. After all, I was trained in the art of Kaioken.
To be clear, we're not at 9,000 today. We're actually at 1238. But that's a sign of things that are coming, and that's what I wanted to talk about today. We're going to talk about Trump. We're going to talk about tariffs and trade deals. We're going to talk about the U.S. economic data and how it's just continues to outperform and surprise people to the upside. We're going to talk about Lynn Alden admitting that tariffs might be impactful, especially if they keep their current run rate of $800 billion a year. Just a lot of really interesting stuff going on. We do have a Tom Lee video. It looks like Wednesday, 12:49 a.m. Tom, get some fucking sleep, bro. So we'll be talking about that. I do want to talk specifically with Metaplanet, though. The Japanese market was up about 8.49% last night. Smarter Web Company's still getting its ass handed to it today, but I think that's finding a bottom too. But we're seeing in the German market, DN3, up about 7.5%. I wanted to talk to something real quick in this post because I think Chris did a good job with this. I think he does a good job with a lot of things. He said the MNAV, again, that's net asset value, the same, it's multiplier to net asset value, the same as it was in April. Share price is 3x higher. What's the lesson here? So this is something that I want to make sure that people can understand. We hit a 2.8 MNAV yesterday. I think we're sitting right around 3 right now. But again, the price was down here. Now price is up here. What you have to realize is we're going up fast. We're going up fast because of the rate that they're buying Bitcoin. And that's not just this company. That's a lot of companies. These are just one of the companies that does it the best. And so I wanted to show you something real quick here. I wanted to show you, again, look at the market cap right now of Metaplanet. And again, realize that its MNAV or multiplier to NAV is at the same level it was in April, even though the stock is 3x'd. Also, look at the debt outstanding. Their debt outstanding right now is $118 million. Even though their market cap is $5.77 billion and their Bitcoin net asset value is right around $2 billion. So with $118 million in debt, they've been able to acquire $2 billion in Bitcoin. I hope you understand the math here and just how monumental that is. And again, like there's a factor that I think people just don't understand. So right now, SWC, let's refresh here real quick and see where the MNAV is at. 3.66. 15 days to cover. And what this is telling you is that in 15 days, this will be fairly priced with an MNAV of like 1. So it's just very important that you understand how quickly these companies are acquiring Bitcoin and how accretive the nature of their acquisition is. It's also important to understand when things are getting to oversold conditions. And then we'll probably jump back over into Trump mode and tariffs here in a second. But again, we got an 8.12% bounce on Metaplanet yesterday. Let me just sort this real quick. Another important thing to recognize is that yesterday we got almost to oversold conditions in Metaplanet on the daily RSI. So oversold conditions right at it, which is great. Again, this is the time where you want to buy. So unfortunately, just the way things work, everyone buys when everybody's talking about stuff. And so everybody buys when Smarter Web Company is crushing it. Everybody buys. Like, again, nobody was buying right here, right? Nobody was buying right here or paying attention to my videos. Nobody does that, right? Whenever the things are consolidating and just going sideways to down, nobody gives a shit. Right now, nobody's talking about Smarter Web Company and buying it. Nobody's talking about Planet and buying it. That's just the nature of how these things work. People don't care when they should, and then they care when they shouldn't. And so, again, Metaplanet actually had an RSI on the daily time frame of 94. So, again, very high, definitely a sell zone. But again, look at this. So the daily RSI, the 94, right up here, right at the tippity top. And now we're down to about 41. So we're not in oversold conditions yet. But honestly, going from a 94 to a 41 is pretty much oversold conditions. But again, this one's down 17% in pre-market. I don't know what that'll end up looking like in the U.S. Could be something similar. I might even jump into an options play on it. Even though I'm trying to stay away from options, I might do that. I did that with Sequoians yesterday. It looks like Sequoians is up like 2% in pre-market. A lot of these are really flushed out. And I just want you to understand that this is the time where you get interested in them. You get interested when the RSI is at low levels. And Bitcoin is historically having one of the best moments that it's going to have, where a third of the profits are made over a course of like a quarter. So again, just realize where you are and realize that you shouldn't be running away right now. That's not the smart move. I want to jump to something else real quick. We're going to go back to Trump and talk about this. And let me just get caught up with chat. How you guys doing this morning? What did somebody say about Mara? Mara private offering. Can you go over it? I don't know anything about it. So somebody might. Mara diluting. I mean, I guess that's kind of what Mara does. Let's see here. The market doesn't like it. It's down 4.18% in pre-market. We'll try and take a look at it here and see what's going on. But yeah, probably not when you dilute shareholders into strength, that's the way I look at it, probably not a great idea to do it right now. Again, when some of the markets, and again, for Mara, and Bitcoin miners, they haven't been doing too bad. They've actually had a pretty good go of it. As of recent, compared to the way the performance has been. You can see for them, this is probably like raising into strength, even though the broader market has, just kind of been chilling out and some things have been consolidating, especially treasuries. For them, it's probably selling into strength because, again, they were at 9.77. And now, even after this message, they're sitting at about 19. So they've went up $10 a share. So maybe, again, this is them looking to get money. And I think their earnings, I want to say it's like the end of this month, so we should be seeing that soon too. Let me keep going here, though. I want to hop over here real quick. And also, I wanted to talk to this. CNN Fear and Greed Index, we're back into the greed territory in the stock market. Still sitting in greed 2 in a 70, so not quite neutral on the crypto index. So again, could we go lower? Yes, we could go lower. What you'll find, though, traditionally, is that you'll find that the more levered plays will bottom first. So we should be seeing some of that most likely here in the not too distant future. And as I'm saying, that Smarter Web Company is only down 14% right now. But again, so we're starting to see some of that bottoming pattern. Here's what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk about tariffs too. Very interesting stuff going on here. Marty Party puts Trump makes deal with Japan, 15% reciprocal tariff, $550 billion investment in U.S., 90% of profits. This is important to talk about. So, says Trump said, we just completed a massive deal with Japan, perhaps the largest deal ever made. Japan will invest at my direction $550 billion into the United States, which will receive 90% of the profits. This deal will create hundreds of thousands of jobs. There has never been anything like it. Perhaps most importantly, Japan will open their country to trade, including cars and trucks and rice. And certain other agricultural products and other things. Japan will pay reciprocal tariffs to the United States of 15%. This is a very exciting time for the United States, and especially for the fact that we will continue to always have a great relationship with the country of Japan. Thank you so much. There's talk of the Prime Minister actually leaving. Japan's had a really unstable, Japan, South Korea, they haven't been doing great from a political front for a while. But this is kind of huge. Again, this is showing that we're going to be getting more investment dollars into the United States, foreign direct investment into the country. And at the same time, we're going to be the ones that get to benefit from that. And then they're opening up their markets more to us, and they're still paying a 15% tariff. So I can't remember if I said this or if I just thought it. I haven't had a lot of coffee yet. But Lynn Alden had an interview that she did, maybe it was just yesterday or a couple of days ago that I listened to yesterday. And in that, she said that $800 billion looks like the current trend for tariffs, and that something like 300 wouldn't be that consequential, but 800 would be. And again, this could get us on a more balanced budget than we've been in a very long time. We actually had a surplus in the month of June. So this is going to be interesting if we start to. Where's that? I didn't get it. I didn't get it in the dryer yesterday because I was trying to get rid of the wrinkles. So we can maybe look forward to that on Friday. I don't have it today, and I don't know if it's in good measure to when the stock was down 20% this morning, and in the UK markets to be wearing the SWC shirt. Maybe it is. Maybe I should be doing the rallying cry. But either way, I couldn't find it. I had the stuff in the hopper. I didn't get it out. I did a lot of chores yesterday, but I didn't get to that. So I do apologize. Only down 13% in pre-market now for SWC. That's a good sign. Let's real quickly also, there's so much going on the political front right now, guys. So much going on the political front that's really beneficial, I think, towards the economy and that people aren't getting. Let's listen to Trump here real quick talking about the potential for stripping away capital gains and the fact that they're looking into that for home purchases. I think this is a huge, huge thing. And we're going to play it. Let me see. What did you say, Alan Issis? Jesse, your thoughts on BMR, time to buy, hold, or sell? Again, SBET, I sold some, and then I bought BMNR. Today, it looks like BMNR is actually outperforming. Here's my thought on it. Chicken Genius posted something too. He said, I don't know that BMNR makes sense to me right now. And he goes, but Peter Thiel is in it for like $180 million, and he never misses. And again, you have people like Tom Lee as a part of the project. So I think there's going to be really good things coming out of it. So I like my diversification split between SBET and that. I think SBET is probably finding a bottom. I know somebody was talking earlier. I don't know if it was King Size was talking about looking for SBET to get down to 20. I don't know if it's going to, but I'm rooting for you. Let's real quickly though listen to this. 1 second. Yeah. Kathy Woods was buying BMNR too, right? And these guys all know each other. There's network effects there. Let's listen to this real quick though.
Mr. President, right. To follow up on the housing question,
Yeah.
we got no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. How important is it we have no tax on home?
Do you guys still remember that? Do you guys remember all these things? And again, it's not no tax. Some of these are like capped to a certain dollar amount per year for the overtime and the tips and all that stuff. But they're still hugely beneficial to the lower class, the group that's having the hardest time right now.
Sells capital gains to unleash the housing market.
Well, we're thinking about that, but would also unleash it just by lowering the interest rates. If the Fed would lower...
Powell's going to get fired, guys. He's going to get fired. He's going to get fired.
The rates, we wouldn't even have to do that. But we are thinking about no tax on capital gains on houses.
Right.
How do I feel about SBET vote tomorrow? Dilute me harder, baby. That's all I ever have to say about that. I think the companies that are the most aggressive, they'll go up, they'll go down. We bought SBET down here, right? We bought it in the 9s. And then we sold some up here and diversified. That actually turned out to be okay. But SBET, the more they dilute, the more aggressive they're going to be to buy. And I think that can only benefit them. I do know that, again, Tom Lee's fund, the crypto side of it, they did sell out of some of this, but they sold out of it with like 300+% in gains. So it didn't hurt them too much. But I think SBET is still a primary contender. If we just refresh over here, I don't know if this is totally up to date. I think it is. Again, this number, the strategic reserve for ETH and just the growth rate is sick. And we've got SBET sitting at 360,000 Ethereum right now. Just a crazy, crazy amount of gains, sitting at a P&L of $333 million in profit too. It's going to look really good for the quarter for this company. So I'm very excited about that. Heard EU talks on tariffs are going well. Yeah, I think a lot of it's going to be because in the end, these guys will do whatever it takes to get rid of these tariffs. Also, again, Japanese prime minister to resign after Trump's $550 billion trade win. Shigeru Ishiba is reportedly stepping down by August. The news drops just one day after Trump unveiled a massive trade deal with Japan. Tokyo will pay a 15% reciprocal tariff and invest $550 billion into the economy. So they're between a rock and a hard place. But it's good for us. And this is crazy too. So the Philippines, Trump announces a trade deal has been struck with the Philippines after meeting with their president today. This is yesterday. It's 0% or zero tariffs on U.S. goods and imported into the Philippines. 19% tariff on Philippine goods, down from 20 to 19. Philippines will open their markets to more U.S. goods. So again, these deals are doing well for the United States. I also wanted to point out for Trump here that, again, I don't know if he's a pedo or not. We still need to wait and see what happens with that. But I do know his net approval comparison in regard to his previous term, that of Obama, that of Biden. Right now, as of reporting this on July 21st, just a couple of days ago, Rasmussen reports showed that he actually had a higher net approval than all of these previous terms, Biden, his first term, and both of Obama's. So I want to say things are probably going pretty good. And then at the same time, we're talking about embargoing Russian oil and just a lot of things. A lot of power moves happening right now in the United States that I think are really positive. And then we have AI and chips. And then we have so much more. Metaplanet is greater than CleanSpark, methinks. As if you don't own options in the miners, I would 100% agree with that. I would 100% agree. I think Metaplanet is going to do a lot better just purely from the stock. It could be close in regard to options activity, and you could actually see maybe the miners do better with some options contracts. Oh, weird. When I click on my other screen, I just realized it enlarges. That's strange. Anyway, so we have Asia Pacific markets actually did okay yesterday. The Japanese Nikkei rises 3.6%, but again, the markets overall weren't too badly impacted by the trade deal that was happening. I want to talk to this too. I put all kinds of revisions across the economy are coming in better than expected. Wall Street is bailing out Main Street. We're going to watch this. This is a great channel that you guys should be following called The Compound. These guys are Josh Brown and some of these other guys. They're a little off basis sometimes on depending upon what you're talking about. But there's a lot of good data in here. Some of this good data came from the transcript that they referenced. And I want to talk about this. So I put the rich are getting richer. It's going to be real hard for the economy to tank with what's going on. So this is BlackRock's assets under management at record levels. You can see them in December of 2021 at 10 trillion. Now they're sitting at 12.5 trillion. Again, there's a wealth effect that's happening right now. It's a really positive one. And I wanted to talk about this. Actually, we might play the video. First, let's do Fundstrat. Josh isn't a fan of Tesla. No. And so again, he's not perfect, right? He's got a lot of problems himself. I want to do Fundstrat first here, though. We're going to look at earnings. And again, I only do this a couple times a week. So 112 companies are reporting this week. 97 companies that have reported so far, 19% of the S&P. So almost 1/5 of the S&P is reported now. Overall, 85% are beating estimates, and those that beat are beating by a median of 4. That hasn't changed too much. 15% are missing by -3. Okay, top line overall results beating estimates by a median of 2% and missing by -2%, and 78 of those reporting are beating estimates. So this is all pretty good. Right there in regard to what we're seeing. We're going to anecdotally talk about some more of this in a second, but let's real quickly, let's listen to Tom Lee talk about all these trade deals that are going on. We want to get his input. I'm going to turn this off. I hate the captions part on this. And then we'll probably 1.25x him real quick here. A little speedy Tom Lee. And zoom in just a hair. There we go. I think we're good.
Hey everyone, this is Sean Farrell with your crypto comments. Today's Tuesday, July 22nd.
Is this the wrong one?
Yesterday we talked a bit about looking for signs of market froth, and we did suggest that some signs were appearing, but in our view on net, it's still a little premature to start taking too much risk off. But we will continue to look for signs of tactical opportunities to perhaps shed some altcoin exposure and move those back into the main.
One second, guys. That was not Tom Lee. I don't know if you guys noticed. Did not look like Tom Lee. 1 second here. I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick while we're doing this.
Good evening, FS Insight family and community. Today is Tuesday, July 22nd, and this is our Macro Minute. As you know, there are 5 things we're watching for July, and today we got some news on tariffs. Now, as you recall, the original July 9th tariff deadline was moved to August 1, and the White House explained that by imposing an August 1 tariff deadline, it would put more pressure on trade partners. But investors were nevertheless worried because in their minds, August 1 would be the day the market could actually tank as these new tariff deals go into place. But progress is being made. Earlier in the day, the Philippines struck a deal with the U.S. and President Trump announced that the Philippines would pay a 19% tariff. So achievement unlocked. And then late today, President Trump announced that Japan signed a deal that was not only a 15% tariff, a reciprocal tariff, but it also would lead to $550 billion of investment in the U.S. So again, achievement unlocked. In fact, there were 3 trade deals announced today. Japan going from 25 to 15, the Philippines going from 20 to 19, and Indonesia going from 32% to 19%. So as we look at the comparison of where things were on July 9th versus July 22nd, you can see Japan went from a tariff rate of 24% to 15. Philippines went from 17 to 19, and Indonesia 32% to 19.
So I think one of the important things to note is that these rates aren't getting a lot better for a lot of these countries. And so again, that Lynn Alden comment about tariffs potentially being substantive towards our budget and in the not too distant future is I think pretty prescient and important to take note of.
So overall, I would consider that a win for President Trump. And the futures are agreeing. You can see the futures are actually green tonight. And I think that market's going to breathe a sigh of relief. Now, as we went through the rest of this, we know June core CPI was benign. Earnings season's been good, and we've talked about that. And we did get some economic data this week, including 3 regional Fed surveys that I did want to comment on. But so far, when you look at the regional surveys, for July, New York, Philly, and Richmond, 2 of 3 have been better than expected, both for current conditions and expectations for 6 months ahead. So if you think about the momentum of the economy, it looks like it's getting better. And here are just some of the comments. This is from the Philly Fed. The indices for activity turned positive. Here's for Richmond. All 3 of the components fell, shipments decreased, etc. We know at the end of this month is the July FOMC rate decision, and then the July seasonals remain favorable. And just keep in mind, you notice that the market is up for July, but it looks like we've had a few dips, but markets have been buying this dip, and we had a dip yesterday, but the market bought that dip. So keep in mind, this is what July should look like in the first year of our presidency. We're tracking it pretty closely. So I think pullback's going to remain shallow. And we want to stick with these trades. Washed out stocks, Mag 7 and Bitcoin, industrials, financials, and small caps. And again, I just keep saying it, but when the Fed appears to be dovish, which I think is more like September, these interest rate sensitive stocks should rally. And here are the washed out stocks. So stay on target and keep in mind it's.
Yeah, Tom's a stud. I did want to go back to something real quick here. Let me see. Right here, just showing again 2025 and the trend and where we usually end up first year of presidency. All year since 1928, you can see where it comes in lower in the gray here, but you can see where we still have a decent upshoot that normally occurs, and you can see how it kind of gets toppy up here into August and maybe chops sideways. So that is the trend that we're expecting right now, is that we could see something similar to that. Yeah, Game. I do own Game. I haven't sold any, actually. I've been adding to it. But again, it's only like 2.5% of my portfolio. It's up 0.7% in pre-market. Could end up doing pretty good today. It just depends on what happens with Ethereum. And Ethereum, let's just look, guys, there's so many breakouts that are getting ready to occur. Let's just look at this real quick here. So this is not the time to get bearish and worried. The time to get bearish for Solana, I did sell Solana. I sold some 2x fund when it was peaking right here up against resistance in the 205 range, which actually turned out pretty good. I bought BTC treasuries. What did I all even purchase? Let me go back and look here real quick. We'll just look at what we bought. Got it in here somewhere. Let me go down. We got a lot of other stuff to talk about too. I'm going to try and get through it. Let me go down here. Boop, 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 boop. I'm just trying to find those trades. I should have. Okay. So a lot of buying yesterday, actually. So I sold some ASST. Feel bad about that. Ass and titties went out. Most of my portfolio on that is currently gone. It is up 3.25%, so maybe that was the wrong move over the short term. I sold some SOLT too. I was up about 2x on the investment. I didn't sell a lot of it. I sold maybe like 20% of it. And I used that to buy other things. I bought Metaplanet yesterday. I bought the Smarter Web Company yesterday, and I bought Coincilium, which again is another small position that I have right now. It was down 45% when I bought it yesterday because one of the people that was a part of a group, I think the Forza group, just kind of gave up on the company and I think just, capitulated. And that happens at times. People capitulate, and that's okay. That's actually usually a really good reversal sign when that happens. So you bought into Bit Digital. Okay, cool. Bit Digital is a much bigger company. The market cap on that one's over $1 billion. That might not be a bad idea though. They've got like a little HPC going on. So that might be interesting. Game is just significantly smaller. I don't know the exact market cap, but it's about a tenth the size. So it has potential for really good upside. It really does. Let's see here real quick. CleanSpark is ready to ride. Yeah, CleanSpark's looking good. Again, Mara with its dilution, that might slow that one down. Maybe I should have sold some of my Mara options yesterday. But CleanSpark is still looking tight. I mean, if you look here, I should actually kill this. Let's kill this and turn this green to get the right color in here. And again, we've got to look at other stuff. We looked at Solana. We didn't look at a bunch more. So you can see this big gap in here all the way up to 14, right up here in the 14s. I could see that happening pretty quickly, and I could see a move all the way up maybe to this peak around the $16 range. 16 to 18-ish is going to be resistance. We got a trend line that goes all the way back, guys, to the Wayback Machine, back to 2018 when these guys were doing much different stuff. So that'll be a point of key resistance. But right now, it's looking good. I mean, this pattern, we're testing up. Again, you could see how it was getting ready to roll over, where it just couldn't break through over here and then eventually broke down. That's kind of what we saw more recently with Metaplanet and the Smarter Web Company. But it went down hard, and then it went back up, and then it went down, and now we've been testing hard up against this resistance range. So, yeah, this looks good. I'd say we're ready for some breakouts to the 14s. Might be a good time to take, again, a little bit more cash off of CleanSpark, but I think it looks real good. But again, so Solana is near a breakout zone. And near a breakout zone, guys, this trend line right here is kind of beautiful. Again, maybe we'll just put it right here. Actually probably draw it. This is what on the monthly. Let's look at it on the daily. That's a better way to draw a chart. Yeah, so it actually looks really close. So that's really close. So the monthly is probably good on this one. But so again, this is a breakout zone. This is exciting. This is not the time when you sell. This is the time where we start to see this thing free range and go up really quickly into the 300s. And you don't want to miss out on that. And then Ethereum also looks magical right now. Again, right at a breakout zone. You've got Bitcoin at a breakout zone. You've got the shitcoins at breakout zones. And again, this, guys, is another big deal. This goes back to November of 2021. This resistance line, November of 2021, falling, broadening wedge. And now we're right at the breakout zone. The chance of this thing going higher is so ridiculous. Jesse, you have to watch Adam Livingston's new video on SEPO. Yeah, I can check it out. I'll try and look at it today. But again, so right now you have these zones where Solana and Ethereum are looking to crush and break out. And then you have Bitcoin right now, guys. It looks like it's trying to fight its way above the resistance line. If you look in the bottom right-hand corner, If I'm pointing in the right direction. Okay, over here. If you look over here, you can see that it's trying to get back above it. We'll see if it can do that today. But it's looking pretty strong. And I'll check out Adam's latest video on Seppo. Gemini Knight, Solana is doing well, but Solana Treasuries not so much. That happens, but you just have to look at it this way, guys. So let's look at Solana Treasuries not doing so well, because you said not so much, right? They're not doing very well. Well, let's just compare that, right? So here is April of 25th for DFDV, a Solana Treasury, okay? So has it not done well since May 22nd for this one? Sure, that's true. But if you go back all the way to the Wayback Machine in April, this specific one is still up 4,000%. So that's probably something to keep track of and just make sure that you understand. Upixi, again, this is one that we bought. I think I'm at least double my money right now. This is another one that got crushed. We got interested in it. It went from $22 down to $2.50. It was very similar to SBET. But what is it up just even in pre-market just since this low in July, the beginning of this month, 3 weeks ago? It's up 200%, or what is this, 170% right now. Almost, 200% as of yesterday. So you kind of have to compare the two cleanly and realize that these probably front ran that market, right? So like if we look over here, let me go back over. Let me grab Solana. So what has Solana done this month? Again, it's all about perspective, guys. So since April, when DFDV started going up, DFDV has done 4,000% returns in that amount of time, and Solana has done 100. So 40 times better than the performance of Solana. So I would say that that's pretty good. Can chat tell me if that's pretty good? Is 40 times the performance of Solana pretty good? So when you say Solana is doing good, but Treasuries not so much, put it in perspective. Maybe. And maybe try and understand that, because I think a lot of people get caught up with really short term. They're like, guys, Solana's up today, but my treasury isn't up. Or Bitcoin's up today, my treasury isn't up today. What's going on, guys? Why is it happening? How can the treasury be down if Bitcoin is up? What? But when you go back a week, you realize that it's done 3x what Bitcoin has done, or 5x what Bitcoin has done. So just have a longer time horizon. I mean, geez. Again, MetaPlanet, guys, that post that we just looked at for MetaPlanet, let's go back to that real quickly here. Let's go back to that post, because I think that's an important one to look at. So just remember this stuff. Put things in perspective. These aren't directly correlated assets, and you have to think about it, right? So like, again, Chris put here, the share price is 3 times higher for MetaPlanet than it was in the beginning of May, really, right? End of April, beginning of May. It's 3 times higher. You've made 200%, but the MNAV is still the exact fucking same. So what is that, guys? Not even 3 months. So not even 3 months, and you're getting 200% performance in MetaPlanet. Can you guys tell me, has Bitcoin went up 200% in the last 3 fucking months? Can anybody raise their hand and tell me whether it has? I'm going to say it hasn't. And I'm going to say these things are multipliers to upside and downside price action, and we're still at a time where we can expect roughly 1/3 of the gains from Bitcoin over a period of 3+ months. So the upside potential here is ridiculously good, which is probably why MetaPlanet in Germany is up almost 8% today. And you do have downside risk, but focus on it, guys. Focus on it. You gotta zoom out. You can't just be so focused on daily price action that you can't fucking see the forest from the trees. It's very, very important to understand this. Very, very important. It's a must. If you don't get this principle, you're going to be hurting, man, a lot. Real quickly, I do want to go back here. I want to talk. I said I was going to show the compound. So we know Ethereum is ready for breakout. We know Bitcoin is continuing its breakout. We know Solana is ready for breakout. We know that the altcoin sector is fucking ridiculous. if we look over here, ridiculous. This is the month. Pingu. Again, Tom Lee starts backing it. You know it's going up. In a month, 410% gains. Look at some of the rest of these guys. They don't look horrible. 63% gains for Ethereum. These don't look bad at all. And if we even just look by market cap, you can see this is over the last month how much Ethereum has outperformed Bitcoin. So maybe it makes sense over the short term, guys, that Bitcoin treasuries are down, but Solana and Ethereum treasuries have done really well. Again, we made a lot of money off of SPEC, guys. We had a portfolio that went from 300,000 to 1.1, almost 1.1 million in a very short period of time. It's only 800 and something thousand right now, but we're still really up over this period of time. And Bitcoin treasuries, once Bitcoin starts taking off again, or once these run out of steam and the altcoins take a break, they jockey back and forth. You'll see Bitcoin treasuries screaming up. And then people will probably be complaining because their Ethereum or their Solana treasuries aren't doing well. It's all just a part of the game, and we've got our ticket to ride right now. So I just want people to be clear on that. Let's jump real quickly, though. I want to listen to some of the comments here with Josh Brown and just what's going on in markets. I also want to talk about how the Fed, how Jerome Powell is going away. Let's look at this real quick.
Put this picture up.
What did he do?
Here's CNBC covering it. Top economist Mohamed El-Erian says Powell should resign to preserve Fed independence.
Whoa, what?
Quite a take. So I didn't see the tweet.
So, again, Mohamed El-Erian is saying that Powell should resign so that the Fed can remain independent and not be directly tied with the Treasury, which is funny. Maybe he's jockeying for position in this and wants to get a new job. I don't know for sure, but I do find it very interesting. What happened to his eyebrows? Whose eyebrows? Whose eyebrows? What are we talking about? Would you roll CleanSpark calls past September? Yeah, it's probably not. Well, I mean, I don't even know if I have September calls in it. I don't think I do. Maybe I've got some. But if you do, yeah, I would probably look to go past that date. I think, again, I just got done saying that we could get to the 14s pretty quickly in CleanSpark. Maybe that's a good time to take some off the table and roll them out further. It might not be a bad idea. But again, it's one of those things where I am, with Mara at least, I'm looking to reduce exposure to my September calls as it goes higher. I wish they wouldn't have diluted so much today because, again, they're not necessarily as effective and accretive. Depends. If they start buying Bitcoin, great. If they use it to run mining operations, I don't know what the market's going to think of that. So we'll see what they end up doing with the money. But I think CleanSpark's going to do really good because, again, they're not looking to do that. They're not looking to dilute a lot. Jesse, your one-day gains are sometimes more than Jay Powell's annual salary. That's probably true, but he is building a $2.5 billion Fed upgrade, right? So he's probably doing pretty good himself just with the money he's pocketing. Real quickly though, I want to show this. They start talking about consumer sentiment and how things are going for the end consumer. There's a couple of anecdotal things I want you to hear in here, so we're just going to play it out.
We're like a little bit soft. If you looked under the hood, whatever. We've been through a lot of shit and we just keep taking it. So you mentioned Jeremy. I listened to the conference call. They spoke about the consumer.
Again, consumer is much more resilient and stronger than people realize.
Quarter on, please. So the CFO of JP Morgan was asked about the consumer. All right. He said, so let's do the consumer quickly. I think we talk about this every quarter. It's obviously a very important question. We look at it very closely. It obviously matters a lot for us as a company.
This is JP Morgan talking about the consumer.
But we continue to struggle to see signs of weakness. The consumer basically seems to be fine. Now, a few things are true. Like if you look at indicators of stress, not surprisingly, you see a little bit more stress in the lower income bands than you see in the higher income bands. But that's always true. That's pretty much...
I've been saying this forever, that the bottom 40% are getting crushed and that everybody who own assets are doing really, really good and that they're carrying Main Street. And again, along with all the stuff that Trump is implementing, the no tax on tips, Social Security, all these things, all these deregulation, pro-growth policies are unlocking capital, and it's really powerful for Wall Street. And when Wall Street does really well, these are the guys that do all the hiring. These are the guys that give pay raises. These are the guys that spend money on CapEx, capital expenditures, in order to be able to grow their business. And we can see a lot of CapEx growth. We're going to talk about that in a second, too.
Definitionally true. And nothing there is out of line with our expectations. So it's not just rich people. Obviously, they're doing just fine with their 401ks and their stocks and everything like that. But it's everywhere.
They're going to show some more charts, so I want to show this.
Ally, chart on, please. And Josh, I know you have something in between, but just Ally, chart on. So Ally, the biggest part of their business is auto loans. A lot of subprime in there. And their CFO said 30 plus day all-in delinquencies of 4.88% represents the first year-over-year improvement in delinquency rates since 2021.
2021. So again, auto delinquencies have been horrible. Everybody's talking about how that market is going to fall apart and how it's just getting absolutely crushed. But the important thing to note out of this is that the data is getting better and markets are forward looking. And so we've had the first improvement in auto delinquencies since 2021, a few years ago. It's very important to notate these improvements.
A positive inflection point for credit performance. Yeah. What, you're saying that like it's a bad thing?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Like nobody was expecting that.
Since 2021.
Yeah. More from the Journal. Credit card spending, according to JP Morgan, was up 7%.
Credit card spending is going up. What happened to the consumer savings is running out, all that bullshit, all the stupid narratives that we've been railing against. What happened to that?
This is quarter over quarter, so 7% over.
Now they're spending more money on credit cards? Why are people spending more money? I know I have. I bought a fucking house, too, and I'm going to be buying all kinds of shit. There's probably a few people like me.
At the same time, 2024.
That's remarkable.
That's everybody. That's not just the wealthy. Here's more. U.S. small business owners, 1,267 in the survey. 44% said demand for services and products is higher than they anticipated in January.
So 44% out of a massive survey said that they're actually seeing demand going up. Isn't that awesome?
A third were extremely optimistic that business.
Okay, so Mara Klaus said Mara will offer $850 million of zero coupon convertible senior notes. That doesn't sound like too bad of a deal, but again, I don't know what they're doing with the money. If you guys know, throw it in chat.
This would be better in the next 3 months. Just under a third said they would add more employees by then. That's small business.
So again, we've got a third of small businesses talking about adding employees over the next 3 months. That's not exactly recessionary in any means at all. Christina, right. Hopefully this will be the start of many deals. If so, put that together with the tax bill that was just passed, and that should put some fuel. There's so much fuel, guys. Think about this. Powell's going away, and I want to be very clear. Powell is going away. Scott Bessent is making a case to get rid of Powell. We're going to look at that in a little bit. He is making a case to make him disappear off the face of the earth, and he will go away because there's something called I can't remember what the legal jargon is, but basically with cause, something like that, where you can fire Powell if you have cause. We've got multiple Congress people going after Powell because of he perjured himself on the stand, talking about how the Fed upgrades weren't like luxury and all this other stuff, and they're like, that's a complete lie, and we've got proof. So they're trying to make a case of he is horrible with the American taxpayers' dollars, and that he should not be a Fed chairman. And then you got El Ajarian, and you got Waller. You got all these people all these Feds that are turning on Powell right now. They will be getting rid of him. And Scott Bessent is making that case too. And and again, talking about a full review of the Fed. As they get rid of him, they're going to put in people that are going to lower rates substantially. That will open up the housing market. Everybody's going to be doing well. What did you say? Dookie Pie. Hey, bro, I saw you on Tanner's channel last night. Damn, Jesse, those headphones are huge. These are beautiful. I don't remember what they are. I think it's Hi-Fi Man or something. Yeah, because that's what this receiver thing is over here. It was like $1,500 for both of them, for the receiver and the headset. But man, they're the best sounding fucking things I've ever heard in my life. Let's listen to more of this, though.
The transcript is amazing. We shout them out all the time.
Yeah, fantastic.
Like, here's Jane Fraser from the Citigroup.
Transcript is amazing. I went through a bunch of their posts and started reposting them. We're going to look at a few of them in a second.
call last week. The strength of the U.S. economy, driven by the American entrepreneur and a healthy consumer, has certainly been exceeding. As I've been speaking to CEOs, I've yet again been impressed by the adaptability of our private sector. Stock market's bailing us out. American Express, same thing.
Wait, what do you mean stock market's bailing us out?
When she's talking about the American entrepreneur, what do you think she's talking about? She's talking about all these companies that are finding ways to continue to do well. American Express echo that. U.S. Bancorp, consumer spend remains resilient. Wells Fargo, this is Charlie Scharf. As we look ahead, what we see regarding the health of our clients and customers has not changed. Experian, the credit reporting.
Basically, all of these banks, the credit reporting agencies, everybody says that things are doing well. Everybody.
Quote, I think the passage of time, the U.S. economy continues to be strong. Regions Financial, same thing. These people aren't being paid to say this shit.
It's all about the labor market. That's it. What derails us? What stops us from spending?
So now let me throw a monkey wrench in. And I shared this chart on social media yesterday and got quite a reaction. But what do you want me to do? It's the data. I think there are two types of consumers. I think there are stock market participants and everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes, that's the way it always is.
It's almost childish to say people at the lower end of the income distribution are struggling. Like, when are they not? That's definitionally
fair.
It's another tautology. Like, definitionally, if you're at the lower end of the income spectrum and
But if we look at bankruptcies, if we look at auto delinquencies, all those things, that's where the worst data points were. They were at the lower end of the spectrum, and they were like worse historically over periods of decades. They were some of the worst numbers that we've seen. So it's really important to understand that, yes, the lower end has been getting absolutely crushed.
Prices in the economy are rising. You're struggling. Period.
Not to be a dick.
I think I don't know if these guys are, I mean, they're not brothers, but their cycles are probably aligned. They spend so much time with each other.
And be a downer. But remember Eisman was talking about how people that always yell about the debt, it's like virtue signaling. It's the same thing for finance people talking about the bottom decile of income earners are struggling. It's like, no fucking shit. Like, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with that.
No, I care about the bottom 10% more than you do. It's like, dude, come on.
Yeah. And we talked a couple weeks ago about how the spending of that consumer does not even filter into the S&P's earnings. Like, it doesn't even show it. Okay. I think it was Savita Subramanian.
That's bottom quintile, I believe.
It doesn't even show up, really. Yeah. All right. But anyway, here's a chart from the most recent University of Michigan release. I think this came out Friday.
And keep in mind, guys, the University of Michigan is like the fucking worst. Let's listen to this.
I mean, this is like early, but we talk about K-shaped recoveries where one group is going in one direction, the other group's going the other. Whether or not you're in the stock market dictates what your sentiment about the economy is. And tercile, for those who don't know, this says the top tercile of people who own stock. You can see their consumer confidence is ripping, whereas the people with no holdings in stocks.
I'm not going to put any weight behind anything the University of Michigan does. It's just not good data. Let's see here real quick. I want to see what else we have. There were a few other charts I wanted to point to. Oh, let's see here. What do we got? Netflix, sequential ads. I mean, Netflix is doing well, but we don't care too much about that. Let's see. Yeah, okay. You know what? We'll probably stop here. I think I got some of the data points under this one. So again, the transcript, great site to visit. I really like the posts that we're seeing from this person. They do a good job. I've got a few of them down below. So anecdotally, EQT, double beat. We are seeing the CEO. We are seeing tremendous momentum for in-basin natural gas power and data center demand. So you've got energy doing really well for natural gas. Good anecdotal data. We got the SAP CFO. We achieved a very good Q2. They talked about this briefly in that video. With accelerating total revenue growth, strong profitability, and free cash flow, our performance was supported by continued customer demand and disciplined cost control. Real quickly, I want to show this. So my buddy RH. So Amit put Trump thinking of no capital gains tax on selling homes. Okay, that would be crazy. One, would probably bring tens of, if not hundreds of billions of dollars into the housing market. Two, could further explode the deficit as the tax revenue would go away. There is no tax revenue. So real quickly, I just wanted to speak to this. Because, again, I said the important thing to factor in this growth is growth. More growth equals more tax revenues. Either way, they can just print more money, so it'll be addressed either way. But RH said it really well. He said, exactly, currently hardly anyone is selling their house, ergo there is hardly any capital gains tax to be received. But vitalizing the housing market is creating all kinds of other revenues and growth-driven tax income. that sounds much better to me. The housing market usually can make up to a third of the economy, guys. This is a huge deal. If we get rid of capital gains where people can sell their homes, you're going to have more sellers. If you have more sellers, you can lower the price of homes along with interest rates coming down, which we listened to Trump a little bit ago. He wants to push hard on so that we can open up the housing market and get it to where people are buying homes. Why is this important? Let's look at why this is important. I think we have some data in here. Existing home sales might be a good one. Let's just go in here real quick. This is coming out at 9. It's a ways out there. Let's just zoom out. This is why it's important, okay? This is what the top of the housing market looked like for existing home sales in September of 2005. It was way up here. You could see home sales were just, look at this, for decades, just going up and up and up. And then we saw home sales again after the pandemic. Everybody wanted to move out of the city and buy a nice house out in the middle of nowhere. And so you had this before rates were raised at the most aggressive rate in history. You can see that right over here. Looks like the Bitcoin chart around that time. Double topped, plummeted like a rock. We're still in the rock territory, guys. Going back to November of 2022, the housing market has been crushed for 2023, 2024, and now into 2025. We're almost 3 years into the housing market kind of being frozen and at levels that it's been in since the 90s. So we want to reopen this market. We want to see it grow. We want to see it prosper. And in the process of doing that, you're going to see it do really well. And so you're going to see the entire economy do really well. And that's the goal right now. And I think it's really important to note that. So thank you, RH, for being so articulate. Yeah, so debasement. This is another good point I wanted to speak of. So Trump, I don't want to pay for 10-year debt at a higher rate. So talking about like 10-year bonds, 20-year bonds, they don't want to pay at a higher rate because interest on our debt is the highest part right now of our deficit. And if you lower the interest, you make it to where our debt is cheaper and more sustainable. I don't know why. A lot of Bitcoin maxis do not seem to understand this concept. It's very important, though. You got to get it. We want interest rates down. It's rocket fuel for the economy. It's not going to necessarily create a bunch of inflation, even though we could see a little hiccup in some of it. It's not that big of a deal, and it's what you need in order to be able to do really well. Between the increased tariff revenues, if we're getting $800 billion in tariffs a year, that is a huge consequence towards our deficit and helping us be able to have something that's sustainable. And then if we're lowering interest rates at the same time and we're opening up markets and we're giving people more of their money back and we're allowing people to sell their homes so that homes can become affordable and we can open up the housing market and get it to where it's actually flowing again, because it hasn't done that for almost 3 years. Now let's listen real quickly.
Secretary,
we need to hear Scott Bessent talking about tariff revenue, because again, people are just overlooking, they're disregarding all of this. They just want to be like, oh, the U.S. can't come out of this. The world can't come out of this. There's no way they can kick the can down the road. Guys, they've been kicking the can down the road my entire fucking life since they left the gold standard. I was born in 1977. I can tell you the can be kicked. It can be kicked way more than people realize, especially if they start issuing Bitcoin bonds. Let's listen to Bessent.
How much revenue have you raised so far from tariffs? I know that we saw a budget surplus in the Treasury in the month of June. Last time we saw a budget surplus was President Trump's first term. Is that largely because of the tariff revenue, and how much have you raised so far this year?
Well, we're closing in on $100 billion. I think we could annualize at $300 billion. So a way to think about.
So he's talking about a much lower number than what Lynn Alden was talking about. So we'll see where we'll probably end up somewhere in between. Maybe it's 400.
That is, that's roughly 1% of our U.S. 30 trillion GDP. So, that is a big number, Maria, and we didn't get any credit for that in the CBO scoring. I don't agree.
1% of GDP.
Agree with the CBO scoring, but CBO scoring did say that there's a chance over the 10-year window we could take in $2.8 trillion of tariff revenue, and The great thing about the June number was not only was it an increase in tariff revenue, we brought down expenses. So it was a great combination: lower expenses, higher revenues, and that's how we are going to get this budget.
Lower expenses, higher revenues. We don't give enough credit to Doge. We don't give enough credit for everything that's already come. But it is beneficial to the economy. That the increased tax revenue is beneficial. Opening up the housing market, again, despite what Amit was saying there, where we'd lose tax revenues, it's quite the opposite. We would actually gain a large amount of tax revenues because the housing market has been frozen for almost 3 years. Again, it's one of those things where zoom out and you'll find the truth. And again, if you look over here, guys, the housing market really collapsed in the United States. It started its collapse in 2005. The markets finally realized the collapse in existing home sales in 2008, which is crazy because look at this trend, guys. Look at this trend. The housing market was up here for existing home sales in like what is it, 7.25 thousand, and then it went all the way down to here at 4.12. So it dropped by 40% before people are like, oh shit, guys, I think we have a problem in the housing market. But again, we sat down here, and what happened? We climbed our way out of it, and then housing started to pick up again. I think we're actually at that point right now. If you look at the amount of time they were in the negative over here, and ignore the little blip to the positive, because that was probably just a bounce off of a crazy high to super low. So that was probably just noise right here, right? But look, we've done this same pattern, and we're ready. We've got all the stuff set up in order to be able to take off and start to do really well. And so again, there's so many positives right now, guys. I think we're good on that front. U.S. economic data. I also want to talk about this, AI and chips. Today is Tesla earnings day, and there's so much going on this front. Let's listen to this. TSMC CEO, our first fab in Arizona, has already successfully entered into high volume production in Q4 of 2024, utilizing N4 process technology with a yield comparable to our fab in Taiwan. This is interesting because of this. RH, again, bringing it. So he said, I don't know why we're stuck here. Oh, there we go. He said, amazing, about a year ago, the TSMC founder held a speech in front of MIT's alumni that it is not possible to do that in the U.S. due to lack of skilled labor. Isn't it funny how narratives change from the same person on what they're able to do now versus what they were able to do then? It's funny to listen to. And then you got Elon Musk 19 hours ago saying, hey, 230,000 GPUs, including 30,000 GB200s, are operational for training Grok in a single supercluster called Colossus 1. Inference is done by our cloud providers. At Colossus 2, the first batch of 550,000 GB200s and 300s, also for training, going online in a few weeks. As Jensen Huang stated, XAI is unmatched in speed, and it's not even close. This is such a good thing. Look at this. Tesla. Shay said Tesla. CEO says first batch. Okay, same thing. Let's go down here. Evan said Elon Musk just said XAI wants to have 50 million units of H100 equivalent AI compute online within 5 years. 50 million comparable H100s. This is important. Actually, probably over here, I think we have a chart that might reference this.
Rolling 12-month basis.
That's a good chart. We'll go back to that. Right here. Valuation down, but weight in S&P 500 is up. These guys talk a little bit about semiconductors, and they talk about how the market rolls with semiconductors. This, again, is just showing that the valuation could be more stretched than it is right now. But that's a very important thing to note, right? Is that semiconductors look like they're going to do really, really well. And if semiconductors are going to do really, really well, because, again, so much compute is being purchased for years and years and years, and it's not slowing down anytime soon. It's not, guys. When you're talking about autonomy, you're talking about robotics, you're talking about all this AI and competition between them, it is not going to slow down. And that's why SMCI announced today a new $2 billion convertible debt offering. That was on the 23rd. It was a little bit older. But again, there's so much going on. AI and chips aren't slowing down. And if AI and chips are going up, the market is going up. So I just want to reiterate that again too. Let me see here real quick. I got to make sure I got to get my live stream going. My new house, guys, I'm going to have a theater behind me. So my office is going to be in the theater room too. So I'll probably have like CNBC playing on the big screen behind me, and you'll be able to see that. And then yeah, it's going to be cool. It's going to be cool. Why isn't CNBC playing? Let me close this. I wonder if I can get it today. 1 second here. I might have to. I got to go to the bathroom pretty bad. This probably ties in with all the other stuff I got going on. Give me 1 second, guys. Give me 1 second to hit the restroom real quick. And this is going to be a boring one because I don't have CNBC going, but just 1 second here, okay? 1 second. All right, I'm back. Don't leave. I'm back. All right. Sorry about that. I should have probably just played that other video. That probably would have been good. You guys could have watched the compound and listened to what they were saying. All right. Let's keep going here. So we got through Trump. Maybe Tesla. Let's go to Tesla real quick. Jesse, what's your view on coin? Yeah, so we can talk about a few of those. I saw some of you guys talking about game and coin and all these other things. I don't know with Coincilium what it's going to do. Again, Game, Coincilium, I want to say that Coincilium or Game might actually be a little more my portfolio. It might be about 4%. I've got a bathroom right around the corner. That helps, Dookie Pie. So Game is probably like 4% of my portfolio. Coincilium is probably like 2.5%. But again, Coincilium has dropped hard, and I mean hard. It was down, and it could drop more today. Who knows? Anything can happen over the short term. But I would say a lot of the premium has been sucked out. This thing has 850% upside. It's a very small cap. This is a YOLO play. Here's what I like. Here's what I like about Coincilium. You can see the peak right here with volumes, right? This was it. This was peak, guys. This was peak. And then when it went up here, it was telling you, hey, it's too much. This thing went from, on May 20th, what is that, 3 cents? It went to 3 cents, from 3 cents all the way up to $1.24. If you own that from 3 cents to $1.24 and you didn't take any money off the table, you're fucking insane. Because this thing hit an RSI of 96, which is just the tippity top of insanity. Now, I would argue that we filled the last daily gap here in the price action, and it dropped 91% from its high. And it's got 850% upside if it goes back to the previous. These companies are doing very accretive stuff. They're buying Bitcoin with the money. This thing is sitting at what, like 51 million? I don't know if that's the actual cap. I got to look it up. But this right here, this volume right here is a washout. So that Forza guy just the other day that basically said, hey, I'm quitting this. That was a pretty huge washout. So this is probably where we stop. Now, could it go down to 9 cents? Maybe. Down over here where the 200 moving average is on the daily time frame to get yourself really to oversold territory? Yes, it probably could. But where I bought it was like, I don't know, right about here. So that's another maybe 24% downside price action versus 850% up. So I think, and from where it's at, it's a little bit more. It's like 30% downside price action. So I think the risk to reward on this, just for it to get to its previous all-time high, which I think it's more than capable of doing this cycle, if they execute. If they don't, then it's just toast, right? But if I can get 900% upside on this and have 1 million, I actually have 1 million shares, 1,005,000 shares on this one. If it just goes back to the all-time high, I'll probably have like, what is it, 1.2 million in dollars. Right now it's $130,000, so it's not a lot of money at all. So I think the opportunity here is good. I think this is a flush out. I think it's represented as a flush out. And I think we're nearing the bottom. If we're not there right now, I think we will be very, very soon. And Game, let me pull that one up real quick. We'll talk to it. And Sequoians is another interesting chart. So Game it went down. What did it go down? It went down 55%. Could this go further? Yes, totally. Market cap isn't that large. I don't remember if the 131 million is representative of the market cap. If you guys can confirm, that would be great. Catching a falling knife, losing fingers, Jesse. I like catching falling knives. This is literally how I make money. If other people can't hang, I totally get it. All I'm doing is I'm sharing my journey, guys, and what I do, and telling you guys, what I can see. Oh, that got weird with the levels here. I don't know what's going on, but my screen's getting all twitchy. I don't know if you guys can see that, but can I even get off of this one? Oh, there we go. It stopped. But so I catch knives. This is what I do. If you can't hang for it, that's perfectly okay. A lot of people can't. But I'm showing support. I'm talking about macro. I'm talking about fundamentals, and I'm talking about why I believe now is a good opportunity. And again, I'll be in the red for a period of time, and then all of a sudden I'm just making shit tons of money. And then everybody will come. Everybody will come, guys. When Game, let's look here. When Game is like up here, let's say when it's in the threes or when it's in the the $4 or $5 range, people will be like, "Oh, dude, I'm going all in on Game. I like the ticker." And they won't be doing it down here at $1.27. And then they'll be asking me later on, like, "God, Game went from $5 down to $3. I'm selling all of it." And this is pretty much the normal thing that I encounter all the fucking time in investing, is people that rush in at the top, people that chase. They just look for everything, and they run around, and they're like, "Oh, what's the next big thing, guys? It's Rocket Lab today, or it's Open Door. Open Door is the future, guys. It's up 1,000%, but I'm telling you, it's going up 10,000 more tomorrow, and so you should put all your life savings into it." That's kind of what I'm used to, is people doing that. And then getting crushed from it and complaining because they jumped in at the top of something, and then they're wondering why it's going down when Bitcoin's going up, or Ethereum's up today. Why is Game down? These are just like the things I have to be used to all the fucking time. It's annoying, but you also kind of understand where people are coming from, because if you're not in these markets and you're emotional and you're trading all the time and you're trying to catch the next big 100 bagger. And you don't know what you're doing, and you're listening to CNBC, you're pretty fucked. You're pretty fucked. I don't even think I have CNBC working today. I'm going to have to do a reboot. Sometimes that happens with it. It just does not work. So we'll have to skip any of that right now. Let's go over here, though. See what else we have. So Tesla, again, new data center mid-Feb. XI broke ground in Shelby, now deploying 110,000 GB200s powered by clean energy and Tesla mega packs to help prevent blackouts. Colossus 2 coming out. This is just, it's so amazing, guys. And then you have the Tesla Diner, super crowded. Everybody's here. Such a cool experience. This is just like the future. It's what's coming. And I wanted to talk real quickly with Tesla here. So again, this is what I see for downside risk. I see maybe like the upper twos for downside risk, maybe a further consolidation. Hell, maybe we even get all the way down to the 259 mark over here. But it doesn't matter much, right? Because what I'm saying here is I think we have 15, maybe 20% downside risk versus the potential for 40 to 70% upside, which again, it's an asymmetric bet to the upside, where you can get like 2 to 1 or maybe 3 to 1. And I think that's good. And even JP Morgan, you've got them talking about how robotaxis are solid and safe and how they're bullish on them. You got Wedbush reiterating a $500 price target. You just have a lot of positive things. Oh, and this shouldn't be in here, but I want to speak to it real quick. This should actually be in U.S. economy. But Ryan Detrick said the S&P 500 just closed. This is on the 21st, just 2 days ago, above the 20-day moving average for 60 days in a row, the longest streak since 1998. Going back 50 years, this has happened 4 other times, up a year later between 20 and 26%, never lower 3 months later. So what they're telling us is that based on this data and historical trends, we've never been lower 3 months later, and that we stand a really good chance of seeing continued upside price action. So again, there's just so many little things like this, guys. Let me go in here real quick. I need to put this in the right place. There's so many little things like this that are showing. Can we get some Tesla calls? I don't know if I'm interested in Tesla calls right now. I'm not even looking at TSLL. I would just probably own the stock. I would be reducing multipliers for the remainder of the year. I mean, I say this as somebody who bought a bunch of Sequoians calls yesterday, but I am personally not interested outside of these calls just being ridiculously priced, inappropriately priced. I've got ones for a $5 strike now. I mean, how difficult is a $5 strike? We were at 587 on July 14th a week ago. Also ones for a $7 strike. I think both of these are very attainable. I did say that, hey, there's some downside risk here. If we close the gap over here, that's another 32% downside. Maybe that's possible, but I think that's pretty ridiculous. This company, guys, you got to put things in perspective. Sequoians, if we look over here, they're number 20. They just came on the scene and they're already number 20 in Bitcoin treasuries. That's a big deal. Soul Strategies reverses stock split, 1/8 markets. Tend to hate reverses, might be a good buying opportunity. I don't love Soul Strategies right now. I don't love Soul Strategies because they were just kind of diversifying away from just being a Soul fund. And so I don't totally love that. Somebody asked about ARKG. Yes, ARKG is looking good. We drew this line, right? It seems to be pretty much following it. Up 3.26% yesterday, up 1.2% in pre-market. It's looking good. We do have a peak up here about 7% from now where we start to hit a little bit of volume and the first fib line on our fib extension. But again, we've got calls, guys, for January that are 50 strikes. That's not even a 100% move. And if we look here at what has happened with ARKG over a period of time, we'll go to the monthly because there's so much data here. Again, we found support, kept finding support, overshot to the downside. That's where we started adding to our risk here to buy more. And the measured move gets us up here, guys, to about $31. And once we get above that, there's just no volumes. And so I think there's a chance in the next year that we see, $61 ARKG. I don't think it's crazy to think this can double. I don't think it's crazy to think it can double because if we just look over here, guys, from what is it, March 20, the pandemic. So again, maybe we won't even factor that in. Let's just look at where it was before. That's probably why I had the line up here. If we ignore the pandemic, just the bounce off of this thing from like April of 20 to January of 2021, so a lot less than a year, about three quarters, this thing went up 214%. And so all I'm doing is placing a bet here. And I've got calls going all the way out, I think, to January 2027 now. Let me look. Yeah, January of 2027 with a 40 strike. In June of 2026 with a 48 strike. I've got $340,000 in those. Just hitting 48 and 40, giving it a year and in one case a year and a half to do that. A doubling, basically, guys. That's all I'm looking for. In less in some cases. 40 is 2027, so those are going to be in the money before you know it, like real good. I'm actually up already 34% on those. But this is ridiculous. Like, this is going to be probably pretty easily attained. Again, I think ARKG is going to be, if this thing ends up grinding down for a longer period of time, I will buy more of it, especially in January 2027, because I think that there's a really good chance that it ends up going higher in the not-too-distant future. Jesse, how do we play BMNR options? I haven't even looked at options. Again, the only way I'm going to look at options, guys, and maybe a small degree, is if we continue to see downside pressure for things like Smarter Web Company, for things like Metaplanet, when their NAVs are at 3 and 4x. And the reason I would do that is the chance of just getting a high reward is super high. Because, again, we've looked at this the other day. Let me go over here to the MNAV here. Look at the MNAV right now, guys, on this thing. That's 3.66. This morning, it's probably even lower, right? And this thing was as high as 21x. Over here, it was 14. Over here, it was 14. Over here, it was 17. Over here, it was 12. Maybe it only gets up to like 6 or 7 here in the near future. But with the growth rate of them adding their Bitcoin holdings, and how accretive it is. Again, issuing a lot less debt than what you're gaining for assets from Bitcoin. This is all just a no-brainer to me. Again, even if this thing just goes to 1x MNAV, guy, if it's just worth its Bitcoin holdings, let's say by middle of September, that is 1782. Right now, it's running at 232. That is 7x from where we are right now if it doesn't perform well. So you just have to realize, like, that's probably the only time I'm looking to add exposure. I will look at BMNR's chart real quick, though, because I do like it. Again, this is one of the reasons why I diversified away from SBET. SBET went up 350% in a very short period of time. So we diversified a little bit away from it, and we put some of that into BMNR. And BMNR, let me just find it real quick here. Where did I put it? Is it here? No. Is it here? No. Okay, yeah, it is. So BMNR, it was up 2% yesterday. And let me see where I put SBET. Right here. So SBET was up 8.5%, so it outperformed yesterday. But today it's down 2%, and BMNR is up almost 3%. So the thing I like about this pattern, and don't get me wrong, it could go lower. I said, hey, this thing could go down and fill this daily gap. Probably going to happen. It's already down 76%, or went down, I should say, 76% from its recent high. But if you look over here, it could get down to like 79% from its recent high. That's only about a 13% drop from where we are. But the upside price action for this thing to get back to where it was right now, there's 300% upside. If it drops down to here, there's 366. So I will, if we get that kind of drop on this, I'll probably look at adding more and maybe doing some options, and I'll let you guys know what they are. But right now, I'm trying to refrain from that. I don't want to really add more risk unless it just becomes to the point where it's like, dude, these are so ridiculously undervalued, and now is the time to strike in order to be able to get some better returns in the future. But I think a lot of these treasuries have been washed out, and I think there's really good opportunity sitting in front of us. And I'm sitting probably a hair under $5 million right now for assets. But looking at where these things are, I mean, look at this. Again, BMNR. Let's think about this, guys. So today, BMNR is down 75% from where it is. I'm sitting on $5 million. BMNR is down 75%. I don't hate that play. Looking at SBET still, from its high, again, it ran really good over the short term, but from its high, it's down 78% from where it was a little over a month ago. Again, I'm sitting on almost right around $5 million in investments with a lot of treasuries in play. And these things are sitting at just stupid low levels. Let's look at Game. Again, just a bunch of these different investments. This thing is down today 52% from where it was, right? So like this thing's down 52%. So all of these, and it's a super small cap. Upixi is down what? Let's just look over here. This thing was at $22, and now it's currently in pre-market sitting at $7. So again, this is still seeming like a pretty good price. These things are down a lot. And Sequoians is down how much right now as of today? In pre-market, it's sitting a little above peak volumes with a nice bounce off of yesterday. Still down almost 60%. So I am in a really good position to make tons of money right now with upside price action. And I'm very excited about that. When I can get 3, 4, 10x my returns, just getting to the previous all-time highs on some of these investments that were there a week or 2 weeks ago or a couple of months ago, and the MNAVs are really low, and again, we don't expect Bitcoin price action to do bad for the next 3 months. We expect it to be higher than what it is today. I just think there's a huge amount of upside price action, and you can de-lever on the upside, not on the down. So I'm liking the positioning of everything that I've been purchasing. I'm liking how low the prices are for all of these different assets, I think. And again, even ARKG, guys. ARKG is still down. What is it down right now? From where it was? It is down, even with as well as it's done, 77%. So these are the plays I like. I like it when things are still really depressed and have a lot of upside price action, and I'm sitting not too far from record highs on my portfolio. What else we got? What else you guys want to look at? The next donut GRPO open. Yeah, there's all these things that people want to jump into. And again, we looked at Open Door. There was a short squeeze on it. So everybody wanted to buy Open Door the other day. How's that doing? Let's see how that's doing. Everybody wanted me to buy this on like Monday. Let's see what has Open Door done since Monday. Since we looked at it and said, wow, I don't really understand why people are buying this. What percentage of cash are you now? Not a lot. Probably like 100,000. But again, I'm raising my portfolio is also going down because I'm pulling out cash for my house. So you got to realize that too. But yeah, so everybody wanted me to buy Open Door on Monday. Was it Monday, guys? I think it was Monday, right? You guys were talking about it. So let's see how we're doing here. So on Monday, this thing peaked. Everybody wanted me to buy it. Everybody was talking about it. Pretty normal shit, right? It peaked at $4.99, so $5, and now it's down to $2.59. So if I would have listened to you guys and I would have chased this shit, which again is a theme for today, right? We're talking about how people are idiots and fucking chase shit. If I would have listened to you guys, I would have lost 50% of my fucking money in 2 days because the RSI on this thing was 95. So I know that people just love chasing. You guys love chasing because that's just the coolest thing, right? It's so exciting to watch something go up a bunch and then lose all your money when you buy into it. But that's not really my game. I am a dip buyer. I wait for you guys to get done losing a shit ton of money. Maybe this thing goes down to $1.75 before it goes higher. I don't know I don't know how long the potential for the short squeeze is, or if it's just washed out and it's over. But if this thing gets down to $1.75 and you bought it at $5, it's going to hurt, right? So don't jump from like, oh, I bought Smarter Web Company or I bought MetaPlanet. It's down 50% or it's down 70% if it's Smarter Web Company. So now I'm going to take the remaining 30% that I have and I'm going to put it all in Open Door at $5. This is how you destroy yourself. How is RSI calculated? It's a relative strength index. I don't remember the exact formula for it. It's incredibly consistent though. And on almost any indice, if you're in the 90s, you're near the top on the daily. And if you're in the 90s on the weekly, you're really at the fucking top. Get out. And again, like Bitcoin, you could follow the RSI and do so well. RSI over here on May 8th, you would have been sitting at around 68 cents on this thing. Did it go lower? Yeah, it went all the way down to 49. But it went up to $5 recently. So you could have just bought on the RSI lows here. And then, again, over here, probably not so much. The weekly would have been a better time frame. And again, if we look at the weekly, let's just do that. If you would have bought Open Door on the weekly oversold conditions at 26, you would have probably gotten, again, around 60 cents over here. And then if you would have sold it when the RSI was at 77 in the overbought conditions, you probably would have sold it for 4 or 5. The RSI is so underrated in my opinion. People don't spend enough time on it. But I just want to point this out. Open Door sucks. I'm not chasing this kind of shit. I'm not chasing things that are up hundreds of percent. The only time recently that I got super interested is the concept of Bitcoin treasuries and getting the next MicroStrategy. There is no next MicroStrategy, to be clear. Even MetaPlanet isn't necessarily the next MicroStrategy. Nobody can accumulate Bitcoin at the rate they've accumulated it. They've already got 600,000, but the growth could be really sick, and we can make a lot of money off growth. Why is Mara so bad with their management? I don't know. They do a lot of weird shit. They try a lot of different things. I don't think that's necessarily horrible. They're not the best miner. Their hash rate isn't that good. Their efficiency isn't that good. They're diluting their stock. They're doing it in a strength, though. I mean, the stock is still up. It went up $10. It's like up 120%. So if you're going to dilute, now is probably the time to do it. I wish they would have told me, though, so I could have sold more of my September options yesterday. That would have been cool. What do you use for RSI? What do I use for RSI? I mean, I use RSI for overbought and oversold conditions, and again, it's really helpful it's helpful on the daily time frame. It's stupid helpful on the weeklies. If you just look, I guess I'll probably just take this real quick here, and we're probably going to go for a little bit longer, guys. Openings in 20 minutes, and we are seeing a drop here, so we're seeing a rejection. We actually went up. We're seeing a rejection. We could even wick down with this kind of price action over the short term. We'll see if it tries to get underneath it here. The volume is pretty good right now on this time frame. If you look, it's peak volume. We're sitting above it, but peak volume is down here. If we zoom out a little bit more, going back to like May, You can see how we could drop further. Again, I pointed out that the back test, and this is probably when I'd be interested in options. What service? I don't know what you mean by service, but it's pretty easy. TradingView is the standard that everybody uses for looking at this stuff, and RSI is like one of the primary indicators that you have. It's right at the bottom. You can add it. It's called Relative Strength Index. You can add it if it's not already there. It should be there, I believe, by default. So again, we could see a drop here where we kind of try and back test. I don't think we get down to 111, but could that happen? Could we get down over here because there's just no volume right here? Yes. So maybe we end up getting rejected. We have a quick wick down, and then we go back up. It will be very short-lived if it exists. And that would probably be the one time where maybe I would sell a little bit of stock, and I would get into maybe some options on a couple of these things because they're just going to be so stupid depressed. I told you SWC was down 20% this morning. Now it's down about 13. I'm liking the pattern here, guys. I want to show you this. So here's the thing I like. We got our breakdown, and so what's happening is, and now we're seeing a strong wick up. So now we're starting to see this. We started to see this yesterday. I just want to show this here. We started to see this yesterday, so now we have a falling wedge, not a broadening wedge, just a tight wedge. So this means that we could have some pretty big bounce here in the not-too-distant future. And again, this thing already fell, guys. SWC fell 73% from its high over here. So this is starting to look like a bottoming pattern, and we started to see that yesterday with TSWCF. I'll just drag it over here. We started to point this out, how we were starting to see that bottoming pattern as well. But we said, hey, things could get crazy. Maybe we go all the way down here to where we see the next volume shelf. I don't think it's going to happen, though. I think we're getting really close to the bottom on Metaplanet and TSWCF. I think both of them are hitting. Again, Metaplanet, guys, overnight, or I should say in German markets right now, is up 8%. It very much looks like a bottom. I could see that same thing happening here with all of this stuff. And so, again, do we get a quick wick down? Yes, I would be looking to add to my exposure, not reduce it. Don't run away. This is not the time you run away. You don't buy the top and then fucking run away at the bottom unless you're an idiot or an emotional basket case who shouldn't be managing their money. And so definitely have somebody else manage your money. If you're selling Smarter Web Company right down here, you're going to hate it when it goes back up to its high and it's up 233% from where it's at. You're going to really hate it. You're going to hate it. And that's not even going to be the high. We just got done talking, guys. So let me switch this to British pounds, I believe it is. Yeah, right here. So we just got done talking about this and indicating here. I actually got to redraw this here because it does need to be fixed. Let me draw it here. Now that this has changed, I think this is like the new bottom. So I'm going to lock that in and save it. Let me see here. Just 1 second. Right there. Right here. So we just got done looking at this and saying, and so again, some of these price targets will have to be changed. I don't know why this one's just, I don't use this as much for visual. But we just got done saying that this we could see right around here in September if we're at a 1x MNAV. That is an almost 700 fucking % return on our investment. This is a big deal. It's probably like closer to 600 with what we're doing in pre-market or with what we're doing here for our bounce right now. This is a huge deal. So again, you will make your money back. It does require patience, and you'll get a multiple in return. A lot of people don't have patience. They don't have patience. They won't make this money. Jesse, what's your general strategy when a company dilutes shares and you're looking and you're holding the bag? Depends on what they're doing. It also depends on the timing. If we're talking 3 months from now and a company is diluting shares substantially, and I think we're at the peak of Bitcoin, I would be out of the fucking company. I'd be out of the company. But if we're talking right now and we can see Bitcoin going to 138,000 in quick order, and I think honestly the cycle, I'm not really getting out of my multiples completely until at least 150, 160. It's very timing dependent. I'm not interested. I'll be getting, the closer we get to the end of the cycle, the average end of the cycle, which is a little over 3 months from now, it's about 100 days from now. then I'll be looking to get out. And so if we've already hit 180,000, I'm probably already out of like all the multipliers, all the miners, all the options contracts, all the treasury companies. I don't know if I'll capture the last bits of them, but I'll have made so much money. I'll probably be well over 12 million, my target for the year. And I'll be out of the multipliers, and I'll be playing it conservative and safe and just enjoying life. Did I answer your question? I hope so. Jesse, what do you think about SMCI? Thinking about doubling down on my calls. I don't know. I think I own a bunch of calls for these. Again, this is just, I like asymmetric bets in different directions, guys. We bought these calls a while ago when they were much lower than they are today. My calls are up about 40,000 or 40%. They were down 11% yesterday, but again, I've got calls for SMCI with 120 strike for December of 2026. So I have a year and a half for these things to hit $120. And does $120 seems doable? Well, I mean, it's the previous all-time high, right? So again, I am the knife catcher. We caught knives. This thing was down 86%. And look at what it's done. So it was down as low as 17. I think we got it in like this sub 20 range. And now we're sitting at $50 in pre. And that's a good level. That's a good level, but the options will get very interesting when we gain roughly another 129% or 150% from where we are right now. The options will do really, 140 it looks like from where we are right now. The options will really start to outperform the underlying and could give me like 4 or 5x this multiple, which again is closer to 10x. So, and this is something I don't even have to, I mean, this can happen over the next year and a half, right? BGZ learned a lot from you about retracement and Fibonacci's. Fibonacci retracements, Fibonacci extensions. I've actually got my shirt on the merch store that says M2MO. On the back of it has a Fibonacci sequence, the little shell pattern, because it's such an important thing to understand. Dylan, how are you so good at catching tops, Jesse? I'm sorry, what? I always make a mental note to sell when you sell. Sometimes I don't, and then the stock tanks. How am I good at catching tops? I'm not greedy. So when SMCI is at 90, again 90 on a monthly RSI. Look at this, did it twice. Like, why weren't people getting the fuck out? If you bought this thing at 82 cents and you hit over here, right over here, you hit $101 and you made 100x on your investment, over 100x on your investment. Why wouldn't you get the fuck out? Why wouldn't you get the fuck out? Why wouldn't you take some money off the table? Even right over here where it's 33 and you've made a 40x your investment, why wouldn't you be 50% out? Fuck it, even 100% out. Who gives a shit about going from 32 to 120? Again, don't get me wrong, that's pretty good increase, right? But if you've made 40 times your money, why aren't you looking at the next plays? Why aren't you starting to get out and then look towards the next things you want to invest in? So managing emotions is the hardest part of the game. Agreed. So everybody, I think it's hard for a lot of people. I kind of work the opposite. When Bitcoin was at 15,000, I was ecstatic. I was buying MicroStrategy options. I sold them way too early, but I was buying MicroStrategy options. I was levering up like fucking crazy. Like Coincilium yesterday when it was down 45%, you could see it wash out completely. I was excited about that though. I want it to be washed out. I want people to give up. I love that kind of stuff. That's where I make all my money. And so again, when people are getting pessimistic, when people, especially like with Tesla, when Tesla was down in this 200 range and everybody thought the sky was falling, or when it was like in the 100s or 150s, or when it was at the 100s, I'm excited and I'm buying when others are running away from it. It's just the way I work. Jesse, when you look at the RSI, is it only on the daily, weekly, or monthly? So it has more priority over a longer time frame. So to be clear. So, and let me see if there's a better chart to reference this. Maybe Tesla's a good one. We got earnings later. I'm probably not doing earnings, guys. There's other people to watch Farzad's great. Boomer Mama, all those guys. Herbert and Gerbert. No, wait, that's an ice cream. Herbert Ong. He's great. But again, let's just look at this. Let's look at the RSI. This is so clear to me that I just think it's kind of a no-brainer. So let's look at this. So over here, when Tesla, I bought so many fucking calls in Tesla at the end of December 2022, and everybody called me a moron. Even the most hard Tesla diehards were quitting and leaving and turning negative on it. But the RSI was oversold on the weekly time frame. It was at a 27. It was so low. And so I bought the shit out of that, right? And then again, when we came down over here and we were in the 150s, I think even sub 150, around 140, 150. If you look over here at the RSI, what was it at? It was near oversold conditions on the weekly time frame. And on the daily, it was probably deeply oversold. Let's just look at this here. So this is kind of a no-brainer, right? RSI, 16 on the daily, buy. RSI, even over here on the daily time frame, 17. You could have bought right here, but again, on the weekly time frame when it was down here, it's kind of a no-brainer. And you can see divergence where the RSI is going up, but the price is going down. That tells you you're going to make a lot of money. Over here, RSI on the daily, down in the 20s. Well, that was our double W bottom right here, guys. Again, in the 200s. This isn't rocket science. Finding the bottoms on this was pretty easy. And then arguably, if you went from 217 all the way up to 370 here, you could take a little bit off the table as the RSI got into oversold or overbought conditions. You can just ride these waves. It's not insane. It's not like, again, if you had cash on the sidelines and you can see that Tesla is oversold dramatically on the weekly time frame, or it's oversold on the weekly, you could just, like a chimpanzee, hit the buy button and you'll do well. As long as the company's doing well, you'll do well. So again, tops and bottoms are also this way. If we looked at the weekly RSI, let's look at the weekly RSI after our screaming up pattern that we had from Tesla. So Tesla, again, look at this, guys. Down over here, if you bought Tesla on the weekly RSI when it was oversold conditions, you got it for, what was the price? You got it for $9.43, split adjusted. Over here, oversold conditions, what did you get it for? You got it for $11.84. Then it went all the way up into the 90s. We talked about how the 90s are death. It went up to 95 on the weekly. That brought it all the way up to here, $61, which is a huge number. But then you started to see this divergence. So it's still going up. It's still going up. It's still going up. But you can see that the divergence is building up since February of 2020, where it's trying to push down. And what are the odds when you're at $87 on the RSI on the weekly time frame after it already peaked in February of 2020 that you're going to go much higher than where we were here? It's kind of a no-brainer. Does Rob Maurer still do earnings? I don't think so. I don't know what he does anymore. I haven't seen him much. GNC, Jesse, are you going to be participating in the next 4-year Bitcoin cycle? I don't know if there's going to be another one. I will be participating in Bitcoin, but I don't think the cycle really means much anymore. It will have an impact because it changing the issuance, cutting it down from 450 a day down to 225 will be impactful. But there's just so many big players in the game, it's going to be a lot less impactful than it was. People might still use it psychologically, but it's not going to be like a technical thing anymore. Namdaten, but there will be cycles. It just won't necessarily be 4 years. Namdaten, ice cream, and Tesla calls looking for group. BGZ, if Tesla moons after earnings, get ready for Mr. Flip-Flopper. Which one is that? There's so many flip-floppers. Which one are we talking about? David Fleming, can you change your chart settings on TradingView? Thanks. Can you change them? I don't know what you mean by that. Yes, you can change them. There you go. Answer. Boom. Done. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. All right. Let's see. Daniel Lee. Cool. Thank you. Very helpful. Dookie Pie. People need patience. That's all. You need to make money and don't ever overreact when a stock dips. Yeah, again, understand what you're owning. Don't buy things because I own them and I bought them and it's went up 300% and I'm showing you my gains, that might not be the perfect time to buy a lot. And again, this is something I say too. You during those times, I tell people, they're like, should I buy now? And I go, I don't know. I struggle with telling anybody they should buy something that's went up 80% in a day. That still holds true. If you guys buy something that's up 80% in a day, can it go further? Yes, it can. Can you get your ass handed to you over the short term if you're buying something that went up 80%? Yes. As crazy as that sounds, it can suck for you over the short term. So I would just continue to reiterate that if you're consistent at buying tops and things, maybe just hold on a little bit longer. Look at Consilium, by the way. Look at Consilium. Okay. What am I looking at? It's down in pre-market, or I should say down in the UK market by 21%. Okay. I don't know. Again, this makes up, I don't even think it's 2% of my portfolio right now. Market opens in 3 minutes. I'll probably bail around that time. You guys still have to go to admit. So this thing is down in the UK market. And again, it looks like it's bouncing a little bit like SWC. 93% drop from where it was. You broke underneath a falling wedge. And now it's just, it overshot it. It got all the way down to the 200 moving average. You saw a volume peak blow off. The highest volume that this company has seen on the daily time frame going back to, I don't know, ever. It's never had anything like this. And again, and on the daily RSI, you're nearing 36-ish, 35. Again, one of the most oversold conditions you've seen probably in a while. So to me, this looks good. To me, this looks enticing. This is where I get interested in something. So maybe I end up buying more if other things are doing well today. It doesn't look like Solt. Solt won't be the thing because it's down 6% in pre-market after being up 6% yesterday. So I won't be selling that. So we'll see. I might even just sit. I might just sit on my hands. We'll see. Metaplanet might be up 8% today. So maybe I'll sell a little bit of Metaplanet that I bought yesterday to buy other treasuries that are getting crushed today. Uh-oh. I got a message about my stream. Is it getting weird? You guys let me know. But again, I bought yesterday when it was down 45%. Can it go down a little bit more on a washout? Yes, it could. Totally. I hope it does. I hope it does. And then I'll add a little bit. But I'll add it proportionally. This is not my life savings. This is like 2% or less of my portfolio right now, guys. BMNR is looking bouncy. That's what we talked about, right? We talked about BMNR looking bouncy and getting excited about it. I don't even have CNBC today, guys, so I might just bounce here now that the bell's going live here. But again, Open Door down 12%. People are probably going to get raped and ass pillaged on that one. Enjoy yourself. Have fun with that. Enjoy the pain and suffering if you jumped into that one. Now webcam lagging. So we might be crashing anyway. So, yeah, SQNS, guys, I bought heavy on calls yesterday. I think that's nearing a bottom. If it hasn't already had it, I think it's a great opportunity. And BMNR, we liked the way that stock looked yesterday, didn't we? We liked the way that looked because, again, we've got downside risk. It did close some of this gap, actually. I should probably document this. It actually did close a little bit more of the gap. But it's got some downside risk. But again, 300% upside, I think, makes up for that. So, guys, keep things in perspective. The economy's great. The bell just rang. We'll see what happens with stocks and where they're at. It looks like SWC that was down 20% in pre-market in the UK is now down 10% right now. And it looks like in the US it's down about 7%. So it's overshooting the downside. I think this is probably the bottom that we're seeing in everything. Why are you zooming in? Oh, it's not intentional. For some reason, that's happening when I move off my screen. I don't know why it's doing that. I got to figure that out. Probably when I reboot, it'll go away. Yeah, ding, ding, ding. I don't have CNBC Live right now. But guys, I could see this being the bottom. Just remember, focus on the fact that the tariff deals are going well. Focus on the fact that tariff revenue is higher than expected. Focus on the fact that the deals all look beneficial to the United States. Japan investing a bunch of money in the United States isn't going to hurt. We probably have some agreement to try and keep their bond market from collapsing and keep their currency market from melting down. And so So whatever's happening today, it looks like Mara down 8%. Mara is not loving the dilution. Again,